Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Monday, 17th June 2024, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. AFREXIMBANK Conference got underway in the Bahamas. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. Bahamas' Prime Minister Philip Davis speaks at the official opening of the AFREXIMBANK Conference. Devontae Hanna of ZNS News has more.
Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, sending a strong message to the rest of the world just moments ago to, one, ensure that small island developing states are not led of global financing, and two, to ensure that Africa and the Caribbean are at the forefront of shaping our global economies. Just a few moments ago, as he addressed delegates at the 31st Annual General Meeting of the AFREXIMBANK, Prime Minister Philip Davis suggested that there become a joint financial task force created to ensure that we have financial inclusivity and as well as for our economies to grow together. Now, of course, he says we are now at a paradigm shift and it is our time to tackle a global restructure.
We must demand a financial system that is not only inclusive, but founded on the unassailable principles of justice and equity. This is a call to action that transcends economic policy. It is a philosophical stance on what constitutes moral fairness in global governance. It is about asserting our inherent right to not only participate in, but fundamentally shape the economic frameworks that impact our futures. This battle is not solely for resources or influence, but for the very principles upon which we believe the international community should stand: equality, respect, and mutual prosperity.
Now, he told delegates that it is our time to seize the moment and to ensure that Africa and the Caribbean thrive. And speaking about thriving together, today, the Prime Minister, along with the Minister of Grand Bahama, the Honorable Ginger Moxie, signed an agreement with the AFREXIMBANK for a loan to purchase the Grand Bahama International Bazaar to turn it into an Afro-Caribbean marketplace. That's right. You can get a little bit of some of the countries from Africa, as well as the 16 islands of the Bahamas and some of the islands from the region, all on display, creating for the marquee destination for tourism whenever you want an African experience on this side of the world. Not only that, the government also embarking on new partnerships with this bank to ensure that at the end of the day, Africa and the Caribbean remain together for a moment to thrive and to shape our global future. For the Bahamas Tonight, reporting from the Bahama Resort, I'm Devontae Hanna.
Barbados' Prime Minister Mia Mottley suggests the banking sector in the Caribbean is in need of diversity and competition. She says these institutions, compared with countries like Canada, have been less than dynamic to Caribbean nationals. The Barbadian leader was among attendees at the Afri-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum and AFREXIMBANK's 2024 annual meetings in Nassau, the Bahamas.
You go to the same banks in Canada and you open an account in 10 minutes. Because of the pressure put on Caribbean countries with the loss and threat of the loss of correspondent banking, it takes 2 to 3 months, even if you are an individual heading up organizations, and for which the risk is seemingly much less. This is unacceptable. Our people cannot be financial lepers. When I was 16 years old, I walked into Royal Bank of Canada and I opened an account. Nobody asked me anything about a utility bill. Nobody asked me a whole host of questions. And while I understand the need for due diligence, I do know that it can be done far better with competition. We need to look within and across. And I believe that if we can find the appropriate instruments to mobilize capital and the savings of our people, and if we can find a way that makes it easy to understand what the possibilities for those investments can be, I believe that we can do far more to help ourselves even before we look to ask others to help us. I say so against the background that the reform of the global financial architecture is still critical and that we can treat ourselves far better.
Prime Minister Motley, in paying tribute to President of AFREXIMBANK, Professor Benedict Orama, says the institution has become a bridge across the Atlantic linking Africa and the Caribbean. She believes regional countries need not look north for investments. Still from Barbados, the Barbados Police Service is promoting more robust action to remove illegal guns from the streets. Commissioner of Police Richard Boyce gave the commitment during a media briefing called against the background of several fatal shootings. The island's top cop also pointed out that there has been an overall 8% decrease in crime so far this year compared to 2023. CBC's Rianne Phillips has that report.
The Barbados Police Service is promising to use high-impact interventions to tear illegal firearms out of the hands of criminals and return a state of normalcy to various communities. This message is coming from Commissioner of Police Richard Boyce, who says the service's intention to tackle the surge of firearm offences will be done in a more robust, multifaceted, and results-oriented manner. In fact, Commissioner Boyce disclosed during the media conference that so far for this year, officers working around the clock have confiscated 27 firearms as well as 262 rounds of ammunition. He says firearm users can expect to feel the actions of officers who will be fair, firm, and operating within the confines of the law.
The increased use of firearms within our communities was triggered mainly by disputes among persons who are familiar with each other, and unfortunately, their preferred manner in resolving these disputes is to resort to deadly force by utilizing these weapons. I must let it be known that our officers spend inordinate lengths of time to prevent some of these fatal shootings from occurring, and we have been successful in that effort. The intent is to save as many of our sons as possible. So this SOS intervention, that is Save Our Sons, is quite apt at this juncture.
Commissioner Boyce added that the other motive for some of the murders taking place on the island is the desire of individuals to acquire gold, specifically jewelry, which can readily be converted into cash. Meanwhile, the top court is reporting an overall 8% reduction in crime so far for this year.
An overall total of 444 cases of major crimes in 2023 when compared to 406 cases in 2024. A 9% reduction in major crimes when compared to last year. Looking at minor crimes in 2023, there were 2,265 cases in this category, as opposed to 2,085 cases in 2024, an 8% reduction in minor crimes.
Commissioner Boyce is calling on law-abiding citizens who have lawless relatives to encourage them to turn away from a life of crime. He says families should not wait until a wanted bulletin is issued to take up their hard-earned money to pay an attorney to represent their loved ones in the law courts, or to run to an airline agency to purchase a ticket to fly that wanted person out of the jurisdiction. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick, in association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Over in Trinidad, where the Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister and Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, Stuart Young, has been awarded silk, which means he has been made a senior counsel. TTT News has more.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley made the disclosure during debate on the whistleblower legislation in the House of Representatives on Friday. Speaking to the media at Libidco's Plan for a Purpose initiative on Saturday, the minister said he's humbled by the honor of silk being conferred upon him.
I'd just like to thank everybody for their support and to assure the population of Trinidad and Tobago that I will continue to use whatever God-given skills I have, in particular in law and in particular in the skill of advocacy, for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So this is a great honor for me, and I am humbled.
It has emerged that Azruddin Mohammed, his father Nazar Mohammed, and former permanent secretary in the Ministry of Home Affairs, May Thomas, had been under surveillance by U.S. authorities for more than 2 years. HGP's Travis Chase will provide more details on this interesting story.
U.S. Ambassador to Guyana, Nicole Theriot, told reporters on the sidelines of an event hosted by the United States Embassy in Georgetown that the investigation into the Mohammeds took about 24 months to complete.
These sanctions were 2.5+ years of investigations ongoing in the United States. We reserve these types of sanctions for gross levels of corruption and human rights abuses. In fact, 2 days ago, we also levied sanctions on quite a few Russian financiers of the Ukraine crisis. So this is something that we reserve for very serious crimes. And after 2.5 years, it was a whole of U.S. government investigation.
Asked why the PPP government was left in the dark during the investigation, the ambassador responded,
having dealt with these in Haiti as well in my previous position, that they have to keep these investigations very close hold because they can be compromised by anyone. So we tend to not share a lot of information until the investigation reaches a certain stage. And so I regret that people feel that they've been left in the dark.
Ambassador Theriot hinted that the United States authorities are in possession of hard evidence against the sanctioned trio, hence the move to sanction them.
We do not do this lightly. This is something that we ensure that we have a preponderance of evidence before we're ready to levy these sanctions. And we had that in this case against the 3 individuals who were sanctioned.
It is very likely that May Thomas, Azruddin Mohammed, and Nazar Mohammed may face criminal charges in the United States.
I think that is always possible. I'm not aware of it at this time, but that is a possibility.
The Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control has sanctioned the Mohammed's family for public corruption, gold smuggling, and tax evasion. The U.S. also accused May Thomas of using her office to offer benefits to Mohammed's enterprise and Azruddin Mohammed, among others, in exchange for cash payments and high-value gifts. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean.
In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.